Well, for people who watch my channel on a regular basis, you saw me put these dahlias up, and these were the ones that were in our yard last year. And what we wanted to do was bring them to the river, and we have. I haven't opened this box in about a month. When you layer it with paper, it does hold the moisture to it pretty good. And as you get down in here, you'll see that the paper gets more wrinkly because of the moisture content that it had. And they're just starting to come up on the top, and there's several layers here. That is a huge one. And if I want, I can just split it right through there with a very sharp knife. The tubers themselves, if they don't have something, see the little neck has to have some of this. This is where you can see where those buds are coming out with this year's shoots. Well, every one of those has to have a piece of that, or it won't work. So if I wanted to, I could split it right down through the middle. That one looks pretty bad to start with, but it might grow. But I could split it down and leave that alone like that, and I could plant these and those, and then I could split that in the middle so that you'd have a piece here and a piece there. This is one I cut last year before I put them up because it's a smaller one. And see, these are the dead ones. You just get those off of it. And these are really tender right now, and if you hit them wrong, they'll just break right off. And here's another one, and I will probably just leave that alone, plant it like it is. That one hasn't sent a shoot out yet, but see, that part right there will grow on. That part right there really doesn't have anything I can put with it. Let me dig further in the box. As you can see, that's the second layer. I just pulled it to one side and let the sphagnum moss fall off of it. See how wrinkled it is because it has moisture, and it held moisture to these. You really have to be gingerly when you get these out of here because they will rake this new growth. Some of them are hard to cut off because see, everything's going to grow from this mass. It's a little more difficult to be able to cut through one. See, that's one I saved last year, and it could conceivably come out of that, but it doesn't have a piece. It's not a good example. And here's a prime example of a good candidate. You can take a sharp knife and just cut straight down through there, all the way to the bottom. You're not going to really hurt that one, and you don't want to cut that one. So you just need to cut it so that the knife blade comes out right here. And you've got one already growing on that, and you got one already growing on that. It's real sickening when you grab a hold of one of them. I should dump some of this sphagnum moss off because you can be picking one up and you'll hear it go pop, and that's one of those breaking off. See, now that one has coming out of two parts of that crown, and you could slice it right through there, leave those two on that side, and then you'll get something to come out of here. Now something might come out of that. It's still firm. If you have a tall one like that, you just lay them on the side when you plant them. If I was going to plant that whole thing, I would just plant it down that way. It wouldn't hurt to plant it that way because the shoots would come up. In fact, if you plant it that way, it would be easier for it to come up. But when you get down to one big old tuber, you can just lay them on their side because you're trying to have them at, I got to get soil over there. I'll break some of these little pieces off. I dumped the soil off of it just because I was afraid I would break some of these off. And see, that could be attached to that, but it could be attached to another one. And if you just generally start to move it, you can see it's attached to this big one. This is one that's going to need to be divided, even if you lose some of them. So that's coming out of that crown. So this I will just take a sharp knife and come right through there, and this one will be sacrificed unless I can come through right there, which I probably can. And see, that's coming up right there, and that's coming up right there. I'm going to go right through there, and that one's just going to be lost. It's not going to harm anything. In fact, to make it easier, I could just take that one out, and then I could just come right between them. You don't want to hit those little buds because they will snap off in a heartbeat. Like, see that? I just snapped one off just by picking it up. And that's one. Don't want to make this too long. See that beautiful thing there? But since it doesn't have that piece on it, it is absolutely worthless. See, that one's already coming out. And you could very easily divide that with a sharp knife. You could just go straight through there. Oh man, let me get down to the bottom. And we dug this one at the bottom, and that's at the bottom, and this one could be split right down in the middle, and you can see a shoot coming out there and another one coming out there. I think we're getting down to the twos and fews. And here's another one that you can just I don't know whether this crown is still solid. It's still solid. You would have to cut this to where you can get a piece on this, like just come right up through there and then come through there, so each one of these gets a piece of that on it. And that one hasn't started sprouting, and that's a very solid tuber. Now that one you just need to cut off. It got chopped up when we came out with a shovel, and see this part here will flower, and that little end will flower. Send up a shoot. That's it.